When I began middle school, I was very nervous. I tried to think about positive thoughts, but I only heard the negative ones. Not that many people liked me because I was very quiet. There were even rumors going around saying that I was some sort of vampire or a ghost that would roam the hallways. They would judge me based on how I looked and dressed. There were so many people with brown, blonde, and red hair. I had jet black hair. Some people had green or brown eyes. I had aqua colored eyes. People would dress in the most fashionable clothes. I chose to wear long sleeve shirts and jeans. I tried my best to ignore their remarks about me and focus on my studies. No one really took interest to see all the stuff I could do. Until one day, I was in my fourth period class, which was social studies. My teacher passed around a packet and told us that the packet needed to be completed by the end of the period. When I began to start the packet, I could feel everyone's eyes on me. All of their eyes were staring at me, basically saying, "You are going to fail. Consider yourself a failure." I pushed all their negative words in the back of my head and tried to concentrate on the packet. Then I heard the bell ring. I handed my teacher the packet and walked out of the room with no confidence. The next day, the teacher handed us our packets back. He announced to everyone that I was the only one that had all the answers correctly answered. I felt their eyes on me once again, but this time, they looked shocked. I even saw a group of popular girls stare at me with impressed faces. Around lunchtime, the group of popular girls called me over to their table to sit with them. I had walked over nervously and sat down quickly. They told me how impressed they were about the packet and asked me if I would like to join their group. I felt like I was in a dream. This couldn't be real, right? After a while of thinking, I said yes. After a few days of spending time with them, they decided to give me tips on how I should look. They told me about trendy clothes I should try and different colors I should do with my hair. And I thought to myself, if I want to be accepted, then I have to change myself. So after a week of prepping, I came back to school with blonde curly hair and borrowed a dress from my mother. The girls took me in completely. Even a few kids decided to have a conversation with me. When I turned 13, I hit puberty. I started to get acne and gain a little weight in my hips. The girls told me all the different things I could do, but they weren't exactly healthy. They told me to help lose weight, I could not eat at all and I would begin to shrink eventually. And to help with acne was to wear makeup. I began doing all the things they said, and my mother took notice. My mother came into my bedroom and we decided to have a talk. I told her everything. Then she asked me, "Why are you changing yourself?" I told her that I wanted to be accepted. What she told me next changed my state of mind. You don't ever have to change yourself to make other people satisfied. You are responsible for your own happiness, not others. Now let me ask you this. Are you happy? That question replayed over and over again in my head. Was I happy? I realized what I was doing. This wasn't me. This was a totally different person. The only thing we had in common was the same name. I began to cry while my mother held me. I came back to school with my jet black hair and my long sleeve shirt. The girls stomped towards me and screamed, "What in God's name have you done? After everything we've done for you, you decide to become your crappy self?" I stared at them, deep in their eyes, and told them, "This is my real self. What's your excuse?" Some of the students overheard and began to cheer for my answer. The girls' faces turned bright red and ran into the girls' locker room. Everyone began to chant my name and pat me on the back. I was so proud of myself for what I did, and I didn't care if other people thought otherwise. After the incident, the girls would stare cold at me as I passed through the halls, but I kept my head up held high and ignored them. A few of my classmates even took interest into the things I had talent for. I was a great actor, I had the voice of an angel, and I had the brain of a college student. My classmates slowly began to talk to me, and I started to have friends that loved me for who I was, not for what other people wanted me to be. I started to take my mother's advice about the acne and the weight problem. I began washing my face every day and started doing yoga with my stepmother and my older brother. And I noticed that I was back to my original self. I am not a puppet on strings. I am a human being, a unique human being, and I'm glad that I'm back to being myself.